Hi, I'm Alex Dunn, and for the Quick Base Virtual Hackathon, I built an integration between Voicify and Quick Base to let users easily and quickly create new conversational experiences, managing it entirely within Quick Base after deploying it through Voicify. Essentially, what it looks like is a user creates a new app in Voicify and then adds the Quick Base integration to it. That integration then scaffolds an entirely new app for them in Quick Base with conversational tables to go add new inputs and outputs, and then also a table for conversational analytics data to be tracked, which can then be used to trigger certain pipelines and events for certain use cases. I put together a couple great examples of this. For the first one, we created a COVID response app that lets an organization easily create a conversational experience on Alexa, Google Assistant, Teams, Slack chatbots, web-based chat, and more to let them ask about their current COVID response plan and their differences and what they're doing for certain situations and stuff like that. The second sample we built was an employee engagement experience where users could go to their Slack bot or Teams bot or web bot and ask about their benefits, their vacation policy, stuff like that. And the third one was one that we built for the hackathon itself, where users could go ask on Slack, on Teams, on Alexa, on Google, and everywhere else conversationally, different types of questions about how the hackathon works, find certain resources more easily, etc. And basically the way it works is that each request that comes in from the native assistant platform or native bot platform goes through Voicify, which then sends it to a middleware webhook API that we wrote. And then it sends that data over to QuickBase where it gets put in the table and then can trigger different pipelines as well. So as an example, it's as simple as just going to Voicify, adding the QuickBase integration, which now lives right here, selecting which app you want to attach it to that you've created in Voicify, and then just providing a user token and realm. So over here in my apps list, for example, we have the employee resources app like I talked about. You can see there's already 2 conversation items in here generated, but instead of having to go in here and create all these types of conversations, all I have to do is go to my QuickBase app, to the questions and answers column, click new questions and answers, and then fill out my inputs and outputs here. And then Voicify and the integration itself are going to scaffold the rest depending on where I've deployed it to. So as an example here, I could say something like, who is the CEO? And I'll answer in the case of Voicify and say the CEO is Jeff. And then I'll say you can ask about other members as well. And the second I save this, it's going to get sent over to the webhook based off of our pipeline, which then is going to send it to Voicify, create the conversation item, and then we can just start talking to it. So directly now within our Slack bot, for example, I can go in here and just say, tell me who, or I can even just say, who is the CEO? We get the CEO is Jeff, and you can ask about other members as well, which is great. This is exactly what we just put into our QuickBase app. At the same time, that data gets put into our conversational request table where we can get all sorts of information about what the user was saying, align natural language data, a bunch of IDs and stuff like that. But then we can also visualize that in certain breakdowns, like for example, seeing which platform people are using the most. In this case, it's mostly Slack over web chat. But I can also then set up some other pipelines. So as an example here, I set up a pipeline where whenever someone asks about benefits, we can send that to an HR channel in Slack too. So if I go in here into Slack and chat with my employee resources bot, I can say, tell me about the benefits package. When I send that, I'll get the response that's in QuickBase, but beyond that, it's going to send the request to our middleware, which is then going to send it to QuickBase, and it gets put in that table, and then our additional pipeline pops it up, so it just showed up here in general, and now we know that someone asked about benefits. We can handle those different pipeline events and chain them together based off of what people are asking, and that process is super simple. All you have to do is create a pipeline and then set it up so that if someone hits a certain slot value within that table record. So we just say if something was added to our conversation request data, we need the slots, and if the slots contains our sort of keywords, then we can send a message over with whatever else we want. We can forward that message over as well because it's all in the slot data. And that's all there really is to it. Voicify gets to handle all of the different conversational endpoints, and QuickBase handles all of the data store and pipeline information to help you internalize your processes based off of having conversations with your customers, your users, or your employees, depending on what you're building. I'm super excited to see where this goes in terms of building a deeper integration between these two platforms and finding more examples of where it becomes extremely useful to internalize that process of creating conversations with your users and using that data across all your other different channels and platforms. Also, this entire project was built live on Twitch, where we had the benefit of teaching people how to use Quick Base and Voicify, as well as learn how to develop custom software and APIs using .NET to tie the two systems together. Thank you for watching. Thanks for checking this project out, and I'll see you in the next one.